All right, little home cooking here. Commanders, -7. Hosting the Cardinals. Magic Johnson was in town this week. He was here the past couple days. Gave the team a speech, talked about winning, what it takes, loving the guy next to you. This team is inspired. Standing room only at FedEx Field. It truly is going to be magic this weekend. That's what I'm going to say on TMZ this afternoon. I can't wait for that. Look, the bottom line is the Cardinals suck. The Cardinals really suck, and they don't want to win. They cut Colt McCoy, who has made a very decent living, $26 million, Colt McCoy, as a backup in his career in the NFL. A very good backup. They cut him to bring in Josh Dobbs. You cut Colt McCoy to bring in Josh Dobbs. What does that say? It says we don't want to win. We want the number 1 and number 2 overall draft picks in the upcoming draft. We don't want to win. And I'm telling you, it is going to be raucous at FedEx Field. Commanders -7 hosting the Cards. Sam Howell, at least for 1 week, has everyone talking.
Yeah, this is going to be a squad play.
Yeah.
And it's solely based on the Cardinals actively trying to tank this season. All the players that they had to pay, they're gone. Colt McCoy, like you said, their only prayer at covering some of these numbers, he's gone. And then you say, well, Josh Dobbs, maybe he's good. No, he's not. I had to watch him play for my Tennessee Titans last season, and he could not complete a first down pass. I don't think this is going to go well, especially going against that ferocious defensive line that the Commanders have. I think it's going to be tough sledding for the Arizona Cardinals. That is why I am fully comfortable laying the -7 with the Commanders, especially because the vibes are going to be amazing. No Dan Snyder. Sam Howell apparently is great in the preseason. Jenks, do you think the hype is real for the Commanders?
I do, just because I don't know how Sam Howell is going to be. I've been so surrounded by Commanders content, talking to these guys, and everyone's so excited here. I can't be the most objective person. I will say this, though. Terry McLaurin is a stud. Jahan Dotson is going to go off this year. That is a guarantee. That is a fantasy stud for sure. De'Ami Brown looks really good. You have Curtis Samuel. They have a lot of talent at receiver. So Sam Howell might not have to be exceptional for that offense to move the football. They have a lot of receiving talent that no one's really talking about. I think the Commanders are more dangerous than we think. They're definitely going to beat up on the Cardinals. I'm going with an alternate spread here. Okay, this is, I believe, Utah -7.5. I'm going to go Utah -6. Lay the juice, -148 at Baylor. I want it below the key number. This feels like maybe it's a trap because Utah, huge letdown spot coming off that win against Florida. But here's the thing. The Bears had no business losing to Texas State. And Texas State has a great offense, by the way. It's up-tempo. It's fast. A lot of athletes. G.J. Kinney, head coach, used to play at Texas. He's been around, really instituted some pride there in San Marcos. However, the key here is that Baylor's quarterback, Blake Shapen, is out for at least 2 to 3 weeks, recovering from a sprained MCL. That's all the Utah defense will need. I don't think it matters if Cam Rising plays or not. Utah, -6, -148 at Baylor. A little creative here.
I saw where you put that, and I was like, dang, this line's going in the wrong direction. What am I doing here?
No.
If you can find a 7, obviously that is my advice, but I will still lay the 7.5 with Utah because I think this game is still a huge mismatch, especially on the offensive and defensive lines. That's where Utah really shines. We saw it in the first game of the season because remember the narrative going into that one was, oh no, Cam Rising's not playing. How's Utah going to fare against an SEC school? Well, they shut him down. What was it, 24-11? Florida scored a mere 11 points against this Utah defense. So I don't think the quarterback play really matters that much for Utah, at least in this game, facing a Baylor team that, like you said, just lost to Texas State and now does not have their starting quarterback. Utah has one of the best offensive lines in the country, and this early in the year, I think they're also the play because they have such stability at head coach. So I'm going to go with Utah here. I'll lay the points, whatever they are. It does not bother me that this game is in the road. Baylor is a mess, so I will be taking the Utes. What did did you learn from this experience? What would you do differently? Just not bet on the Titans?
No, here is one of the things I was going to bring up. Survivor, people say, is survive in advance. But in actuality, it's you need to win this. And you have to pick differently than a majority of the people are picking each and every week. Because if you pick what the masses pick, you will not win a Survivor contest. So last year, if you would have picked someone other than the New York Giants, or that was a big week last year, because Indy tied Houston as a 6-point favorite, and Denver lost to Seattle as a 6-point favorite. You had over half of the Survivor players lose week 1 last year in the Circa Survivor contest. And guys, they have over 8,000 signups this year so far for the Survivor out in Circa this year. You have to be contrarian if you're going to win this thing on some weeks. Now, other weeks you can go with the masses, but on some weeks you're going to have to play a little bit different. Do you do it week 1? Who knows? But when the contest goes for 20 weeks, you need to have some different kind of strategy. And that's what I learned from last year's Tennessee Titans giving me that $1,000 hat that I have in the back.
Oh,
it's a good looking hat.
But it does look glorious.
It's a great looking hat. I bet it looks great on you, Rick. You talk about scheme changing, affecting bets that you place. What scheme are you talking about? What bet?
Talking about the Ravens. About the Ravens. Lamar Jackson's passing line this week is set at 211 passing yards. Okay, that's a low number to me. Okay, that's the over here is set at -115 against the Texans. His pass attempt line is set at 28.5. Okay, so if Vegas is expecting him to throw it around that number, I would expect him to pass him for more than 211 yards, right? Now, it might be because of potential game script, right, with them really dominating the Texans, but 211 passing yards just seems super low. This is an offense moving from Greg Roman to Todd Monken, right? There's going to be a much bigger emphasis on the pass game. He has Mark Andrews. He's a little bit banged up, but he's going to play in this game. He has Zay Flowers. He has Rashad Bateman. OBJ is a little bit banged up as well, but I don't think that's going to matter a whole lot. 211 passing yards, I think, is a pretty safe bet at -115. If this line was set with the old offense, with the Greg Roman offense, sure. But this year, with a healthy Lamar, I think it's too low.
What do you think the biggest storyline is heading into the postseason in Major League Baseball?
Well, can anybody beat the Braves and the Astros? That's it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, the Astros, listen, they've kind of struggled all year, but you look up right now, guess what? They just beat the holy crap out of the Rangers, swept them, took over first place for the first time all year. Here we are in September. The Astros are in first. And the Braves have been the best team all year. So who's going to beat either one of those teams, right? And then for me, I don't know if you guys saw last night, Mookie Betts fouled a ball off his foot, left on crutches. So is he okay? And if he is, I mean, or the Dodgers or the Phillies, those are probably the two teams that can beat the Braves. But who can beat the Braves and the Astros? Other than that, I mean, oh, man, it's going to be exciting playoffs. But especially in the American League, you don't have the big-name teams for the first time in a long time, right? No Yankees, no Red Sox.
Yeah.
So how are you guys going to survive not talking about the Yankees and Red Sox every day?
I mean, it's a good question, AJ. And since we're talking about the American League, I wanted to ask you about the Rangers, who just looked unstoppable at one time this season. Are they going to miss the postseason? They could.
They could. They're not in right now.
Yeah.
I mean, forget could. And they look awful. I said this on Foul Territory yesterday. We talked about the Rangers whooped them. I've done their game for Fox 2 weeks in a row, and they just look like a beaten team right now. Anytime you have a bullpen that cannot hold leads for you repeatedly, it is a hard way way to play, because it just takes the steam out of you. You get up. I remember a couple weeks ago I did a game. They're up 4-0, and they blow it, right? You're like, oh, they're going to win this game easy, and then all of a sudden they're down 6-4 in like 3 innings. You're like, oh my gosh, what happened? But that's happened so many times in them that your lineup at some point puts too much pressure on itself. And they miss Josh Young, but man, when you have to constantly come back, you get a lead, you lose it, you come back, it just takes such a toll on your team. You cannot overestimate the value of not only a bullpen, but a really great closer.